if you're thinking about putting your son or daughter on an AAU team for this upcoming season, you're definitely going to want to watch this video. Now that AAU season is over, I thought it'd be a great time to go over how much it costed us this season. My daughter is entering her sophomore year. She's been in AAU since she was in 4th grade. So we're pretty familiar with all the costs, and I want to say this year was probably the most expensive year just because she entered into high school and there was more out-of-state tournaments to go to. So before we dive into the fees that it costs for AAU, I want to go over what you should expect once you get into the season or get put onto a team. So right off the bat, there's going to be the team fee. Depending on which team you go to, usually the bigger teams are about $1,200, $1,300 for the team fee. Then you're going to have a uniform package fee, which is anywhere up, above $300, depending on what kind of uniforms they get. My daughter's team gets Adidas uniforms. I've seen some team use Nike uniforms, and they're about the same price. They're, so just playing about $300 and up. If you're on a younger team, maybe they're not in high school, I would still budget for the same amount. I think the team fee is a little less just because you're not going to out-of-state tournaments, but they're going to be similar in price. The next thing to think about is if your son or daughter already has shoes that they play with for their school team, they may want to get some new shoes to match the team colors. And depending on what size shoe your kid wears, that could be $100 and up. Or if they're wearing Adidas versus Nike shoes, it just kind of depends. And then the other hidden cost that there is sometimes is that you may find yourself asking the coach, hey, what can I do to, help my child get better, whatever the case may be, because they had a bad game. Think they're gonna mention, privates or training sessions. So depending on how much they charge, it could be, $60 an hour, $50 an hour, things like that. So you may see yourself scheduling, 3 or 4 throughout the season or even more. We didn't do any training sessions throughout the season. They had practices 3 times a week. So there wasn't a whole lot of space to schedule privates, and then I would just personally just take her to the gym and we just do a few things before the upcoming tournament and plug in gym time whenever we can. So let's dive into the real cost of how much it's going to cost you throughout the season. And this is coming from the high school level. So this is our first year of high school AAU, so I'm going to go over those fees. If you're on a youth team, then you're probably not going to have some of these travel fees. But if your son or daughter is like 7th, 8th grade and you're planning on doing AAU when they get to high school, these are going to be the costs you want to think about. So number one is gas. So we went to 4 out-of-state tournaments. We drive a Honda Pilot, and I think it was like $70 on average to fill up gas because, you're going to a different state, so sometimes it's cheaper. But it was $70 each time I had to fill up. So I would say it costed us about $200 to get there and back. Hotel room was about $400 for the weekend. Restaurants, this is going to be super dependent on how much you guys eat out. We ate breakfast, we had lunch, and then we had like a team dinner. So the team dinner sometimes can be more expensive just because it depends on where you go. One tournament we went to Topgolf, so all the parents, kind of chipped in so that the kids can have Topgolf and have dinner there. And then the other times we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and then this last time we went to Cincinnati Reds game. So the costs for the restaurants can vary depending on how much you're eating, where you're eating, things like that. So I would say throw in another couple $100 for just food and activities, I guess you can call it. Next fee is going to be the tournament fees. Or tournament admissions, I should say, because you already paid the fees. So tournament admissions are going to be how much it costs to get in the game. So usually they do like 2-day passes or 3-day passes. This last tournament, for example, was $60 for a 2-day pass for one person, and then it was $60 for the other 2-day pass for one person. So you're looking at, so it was $120 just to watch the game for the weekend. Then they were charging $5 for parking each day. So adding that up, you're at $140 for just to watch the game. And then the part that kills me every time is that we pay all this money and then we get to the tournament and then we have to actually run the scoreboard or, do the stat sheet. Never understood that, but it is what it is. So you're going to pay to get in and then you got to work a little bit. And then if you throw in like the miscellaneous, drinks, things like that, if you have a daughter, then Starbucks is going to be a must. They're going to be getting their refreshers or whatever they're going to get from Starbucks. So, you throw in, 2 or 3 of those, then that's going to throw in some miscellaneous costs, maybe some water, Gatorade, or, whatever they're drinking. You got to throw that in there. You're going to pretty much stop at the gas station to get it. So it's going to be a little more expensive. So with all that said, for one out-of-state tournament, I would say it probably costed us maybe right around $1,200. If you think about the hotel, gas, tournament fees, and all the restaurants and foods. I mean, maybe $1,000 on the low end, but each out-of-state tournament is going to be roughly that. And then depending on your car, gas could be more, could be less, things like that. Depending on where you stay too, but sometimes, or usually, the teams all stay in one hotel, so you're kind of paying whatever that fee is going to be. There is a couple families that may veer off and try to get, their own hotel and whatever the case may be. So you could always get a cheaper hotel, but with the cheaper hotel, it's not going to be as nice. So multiply that by 4, you're looking at over $4,000 for just out-of-state tournaments. When it comes to local tournaments, you still got to pay to get in. It's like $20 to get in for the local tournaments. But if you're playing back-to-back days, they also do the 2-day passes, and usually, my wife and myself go, so then it's a little more expensive to watch the game, or sometimes I just stream it so they can watch it from home. But just for out-of-state, it's over $4,000. So if you just throw in the local tournaments with gas, food, because you're also going to eat out for the local tournaments, because you may be an hour away or 45 minutes away, so you might as well just stop and eat something there unless you're going to wait to get home. So over $4,000 for just the AAU season, just for the traveling and tournaments, plus your team fee, which is, like I said, $1,200, we'll say. Uniform package fee, so we're at $1,500. So, I mean, just off of that, on the low end, $5,500 for just AAU basketball. With all that being said, the number one question I get from parents is AAU worth it? And I tell them it depends. So if your kid is somewhere touching the average to below average, then I don't think AAU is for you. There's too many games. It doesn't focus much on development. You will get better playing 5-on-5, but that's only one part of the game. If you don't have the skills to make an impact, then you're going to find yourself either not playing as much and just not having fun. Your kid's just not going to have fun. But if you're on the flip side of that, get a lot of minutes, maybe you're a starter on your team, then I would say it would be beneficial because you can go test yourself against better competition. And playing against better competition, you do get better. Sometimes you play against really good competition and you realize that there's a lot of work you got to do. So I think that's a good part of AAU. The downside to that is that there's a lot of games. And I think it's too many games. I've seen too many girls go down with ACL injuries, and I personally believe, and a lot of NBA players believe, and coaches, trainers think that there's a lot of wear and tear on the body and for these kids, and it's just too much. So we are asking them to play like they are in the NBA or WNBA, but they don't train like that. They don't have nutrition like they do. So I think it's doing them a disservice by having this many games. And I think we're starting to see it because girls are getting hurt, and boys. The family dynamic aspect. So some people think that AAU is ruining certain family dynamics because when you go to these tournaments, it's all about the game, and depending on how your kid plays, that's going to be how your mood's going to be or how their mood's going to be. And I think there's some truth to that, but I think it also depends on the parent. I think as a parent and a coach, I've learned to remove the emotional attachment to my daughter's performance. So if you only focus on performance on these tournaments, you're going to be disappointed pretty much every time. They may have a good game, but chances are they're going to have a couple bad games because it's just too many games. They're tired. It's a long day. Sometimes they don't eat because they just don't want to eat before the game, be slow and sluggish, so they're snacking. And then, the pressure from the coach. And then if you're applying more pressure to them because they're not playing well, then, that's just like a formula for a bad time or bad weekend at the tournament. So I would say that the good part about AAU is that we have been able to have, good experiences together. So if she has a bad game, it's okay. I mean, we still got a couple more games, and then at the end of the day, we're here to learn, we're here to grow, and then most importantly, we're here together. So let's enjoy this time, take pictures, maybe find some activities to do. Just don't put all the weight on the weekend of how the games are going to go. Because at the same time, you got to think about, is your son or daughter top 50 in the country or even top 20 in his or her state? And if they're not, it's okay. They're not going to get there that weekend. So don't base it all on that weekend's game. You just tell them the good stuff that they did, and then you move on and you hit the gym when you get home, and then you go from there. There is a lot of parents and coaches that make it seem like this is like all or nothing. The tournament, depending on how they do, is going to dictate their future. And the reality is only a small percentage of these boys and girls that are playing in these tournaments are going to go off to play college, and a very small percentage are going to go off to play in the pros. So when you think about it that way, you just want them to take this experience and get as much as they can from it, so that whatever they decide to do in their next chapter, they can take everything they learned from basketball or whatever sport they're playing and apply it to life. That's what it's about. It's bigger than basketball, bigger than any other sport that your son or daughter is playing in. So once you remember that, then I think you'll start to see your child enjoy the experience of traveling, the experience of being with her teammates, going to a new state, and seeing all the good competition, maybe even going to check out some of the higher ranked players. Some of that's pretty cool. It's cool to see them before they go off to college, and you're like, oh man, I remember seeing her play in Ohio or California. I remember that. Because we've had experiences like that. We've been in California, and then we were at these tournaments. We're like, oh, that's so and so from the camp that we were at. So I think when you look at it like that, there's going to be a lot of pros. You feel better about the weekend, and then you're going to feel like, okay, yeah, I did spend the money, but we spent it on an experience. It's not just about the game. So I think when you think about it that way, there could be pros to AAU. It doesn't have to all be bad. So if you made it to this part of the video, I hope I didn't scare you away from AAU, but this is just the reality of what it costs and what to expect when you're putting your son or daughter into AAU. So go into it with your eyes open. Just be intentional about why you're doing AAU. If your child loves the game, hold on to that love so that way they don't lose it. And then just enjoy the experiences that you're going to get from it. If you're already in an AAU, I would love to know how much your family spends on AAU. If you've already been through it, let me know what's your biggest expense. And if you're currently going through it, or if you've already been through it, let me know what you think about AAU. Do you like it, not like it? I think it'd be super helpful for the families that are watching this. And I'll catch you on the next video.